I am Christina Vilolo, and I am the Labor Relations Representative. We will be focusing today on the main point that a Labor Relations Representative for the Tybalt Oil Mill um, needs to prove if the employee was discharged according to the collective bargaining agreement. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my position. Um, a, uh, a labor relations specialist, they act as a neutral party working with the labor union and the company's management team. They're not 100% neutral because they do obviously work for the company, but they need to be in all the meetings going forward as well as being a part of the arbitration portion of the collective bargaining agreement. The collective bargaining agreement is a legally binding contract between the union and the company that it serves, as well as a procedural guide for relations between the employees and the management team. So my main duties fall under addressing any grievances that the employees may have, and I also want to check the validity of them and how they interact with the collections bargaining agreement. We also draft any other labor contracts that include wages and salaries, healthcare, pensions, unions, and other management practices. We handle the draft proposals for rules and regulations. We want to ensure that the Human Resource Department is in line with the union agreements to make sure that we don't have any unnecessary grievances. If you look at the summary of events, basically what happened on January the 5th was that the motor, an electric motor, broke and it needed to be cleaned to become operational again. However, it was very cold and icy this day. Mill Superintendent Frank Tempest instructed Mr. Bob White and Mr. Michael Johnson, who's a witness in this, to clean the motor. The weather conditions were cold and icy, and White discussed rather harshly with Tempest that these were not safe conditions. Tempest began using profanity towards White after the first attempt, and then when the second attempt came in, White also used profanity toward his supervisory staff. That goes against part of the collective bargaining agreement. There were disciplinary tactics that citing White was discharged with cause and the decision should stand. I'll be proving why the decision should stand on the next slide. If you look at Article 11 under Miscellaneous, Portion A, the company will discipline and discharge employees for just cause. On Section J, employees guilty of the following actions may be terminated or other disciplinary actions based on the discretion of the employer. Mr. Tempest is the only one that is cited in this case, so we're just going to say that he is the highest piece of management around during this time, for argument's sake. Number 1, we're going to address the insubordination. Number 5, Portion 5 of the article states boisterous talk, profanity, or horseplay are grounds for dismissal. And number 11, it's kind of a stretch, but interference with production by slow down or sit down. When a motor's not working, the factory cannot produce at its highest level. And so by not cleaning the motor to get it running again, he has interfered with production. There are some different issues that we need to consider though. An advantage to being any part of a union is the grievance procedure, and that's where we're at now. A union gains or maintains strength through their broadly written recognition clause. There are many portions of this that we have a gray area in, and so that's the next portion that we're going to cover. There's 7 tests of just cause. This is important concept in labor relations because the requirement has to be that the employee is disciplined or discharged only when just cause is valid for job-related reasons to be disciplined or terminated. The first question of this process is, was the worker given advance warning of the consequences of his or her conduct? I'm going to say no to this portion simply because we don't know if he has read in detail the collective bargaining agreement, Mr. White. Number 2, was the rule, order, or standard reasonably related to the employee performance? Yes, as previously stated, they're not supposed to use profanity. There's not supposed to be inordinate insubordination, and we're also not supposed to do anything to slow down production. Number 3, was the alleged violation thoroughly investigated before discipline? The problem with this is actions happened rather fast. So we cannot be 100% sure if he was fired or if he just said, I'm going home and I'll see you tomorrow. Which in that case would be leaving without permission, which would constitute as acquitting on the spot. Was the investigation fair and objective? This is also unclear since there are no details available about the investigation, if there was even an investigation, since, once again, it was a very heated moment. Did the investigation reveal convincing proof of guilt? Yes, it did. He was insubordinate twice. He cursed at the supervisor and he slowed down productivity. Excuse me. Was the employer's discipline non-discriminatory? More than likely it was, simply because it aligned with the collective bargaining agreement. And was finally, for the 7th portion, was the discipline reasonably related to the worker's record and the severity of the contact? Well, there's no mention of his previous record, so we have to do another assumption. This was a safety concern, and it ended up in an argument which got heated, and then the gray area appeared. If you will follow along with the rest of the PowerPoint, you'll be able to see other resources that are used to back how the labor relations representative is correct in that we have a clear case for just cause of termination of Mr. White. It is our sympathies that we had to, that he's no longer an employee with us, but this is the way the ruling stands. Thank you very much and have a good day.